I think that as the world moves forward and we figure out other ways to grow as humanity, there will be more autonomy. That autonomous systems, and let's say talk about robotics, don't always have to be used for military purposes.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Engatica's interview series. I'm your host, Anshdeep Kaur, and we're really glad to have you join us today. And today we have Liane Thompson, also robot fish lady, the CEO at Aquaai Corporation, one of the 20 women driving the future of climate tech and blockchain, to follow by Forbes on the show. Welcome, Liane.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So the Engatica interview series is a powerhouse of insights from industry experts and influencers from around the world, a platform that provides the latest news on AI, automation, and technologies that will help you grow your business. Come be a part of our community, learn, share, and grow with us. So here we have Liane, and I would like to ask you a few questions, which is the science and technology, like what is it that can help us save the ocean?
Well, clearly, if we're building autonomous platforms that are able to harness information, I think the best way to save the ocean is to understand the ocean, and that requires accessing information. The problem is that until now, most systems with which we harness information from the ocean are incredibly costly because they were targeting usage by folks like oil and gas or defense. So you have these incredibly expensive devices harnessing that information. But I firmly believe that if we're going to help save the planet, which actually the planet doesn't really need saving, it's more humanity because the planet will survive. But if we're going to protect our waterways, whether that's oceans or fresh waterways, we need to understand how to do that, what their current state is, and then based on that, make the decisions that moving forward that will ensure, healthier waterways.
Okay, so what is ocean power technology? Like, what is that?
Ocean power technology, that's, I guess, depending on who you speak with in that sense. It could be using wave energy, it could be using the salt, there's many different types of ocean powered technology. What I think where the focus might help us is that we're looking at technologies that are conducive to the ocean. So when you look at what we're creating, the robot fish, we've actually adopted 20 million years of evolution. And if you look at what's in the ocean, they're fish or dolphins, or, so it made sense for us, especially in robotics. And if you look at where robotics is heading, it's much more about biomimicry and working with nature as opposed to just putting something in nature. So we've adopted that. We've adopted the ecosystem of the ocean in what swims there in our technology. So that's why we created a robot fish-like platform. At the end of the day, what it is, it's just an affordable platform using the vertebrae or biomimicry in the mechanics and design as we're carrying a payload of cameras and sensors with which we harness the information, to get to the end goal, which is again to understand and move forward conducive to our environment.
Right. So, can a robotic fish disrupt the aquaculture industry?
I think the question is whether a robotic fish disrupts, period, regardless of the vertical. So one of the reasons why we also adopted biomimicry or nature in our design is that it is unobtrusive. So it actually immerses with the ecosystem. It actually doesn't scare other species in the waterways, but in fact, because of the indulation of the tail, other species or other fish actually believe that our robot is one of them, or at least a modification, or belongs there. So we're not disrupting the habitat. And to answer your question, though, are we disrupting different verticals? I think that as we try to understand our water source and protect our water source, regardless if it's in corals protection or MPAs or marine protected areas, coastal resilience or aquaculture, we need to adopt systems that A, are immersing with the natural habitat, excuse me, are B, affordable for everyone who needs this information, can access that information. So the systems with which we're harnessing the information need to be affordable. So that's key. And then 3, and specifically into the aquaculture scenario, it is a booming industry because we are in need of food to feed a growing populace, which is supposed to hit something like 9.7 billion by 2050. And we all know that our oceans are depleted of livestock. We also know that the best choice, it seems, based on science, for feeding a growing populace and getting that protein source that we need will come from underwater farming, or aquaculture. And what systems exist today? Today, you have either static buoys with sensors, static cameras, very expensive systems that are doing, or divers. So, again, as we move forward in making our life more autonomous or using more autonomous systems, whether it's in, warehouses or in aquaculture, we do need to adopt more autonomous systems. So for us, it was one of the perfect use cases to test out what is essentially an underwater drone, an affordable underwater drone. So we did do that. We threw our systems into the Arctic Circle, and an aquaculture farm that supplies Whole Foods with salmon and other Michelin chefs here in the United States. And we are a U.S. company, but we went all the way to the Arctic Circle off the coast of Norway and tested our systems for months and months. And again, we immersed with the natural habitat. In this case, the live salmon. We were able to actually improve production, boost production, and actually, most importantly, we're able to protect the waterways. So again, it's really about protection of our waterways. So can it disrupt? Yeah, I think it can disrupt, and our customers also, invested in us, so they believe it can disrupt too. I think where there's a gap, though, is the adoption of such technologies when they need to go from proof of concept or MVP and early adopters to actually scalability. So you won't really have the effect of a disruption, regardless of the industry, unless that gap is filled. Certainly here in the United States, we're far behind other countries when it comes to underwater technologies, or we might have a few that are great for the Navy. We don't work with, our company doesn't work with military or oil and gas. We're really committed to science and to commercial use cases. So that gap needs to be filled so that we can indeed disrupt.
Okay, that's like, how was your experience going straight right up to the Arctic Circle and experiencing it firsthand? Was it like that when you were experiencing that particular point of time of your own technology? How was that for you?
How was it for us when we were deploying the technology?
Yeah.
Well, when you're doing something that kind of hasn't been done before, there's always excitement. There's always lessons. Yeah, I think for us, the first time we went from San Diego to the north of Norway, and through our systems in the water, we learned a valuable lesson in that obviously our system kind of froze. but we fixed it. We were able to, with the ingenuity of the team, we were able to create a backup plan, and therefore the trip wasn't a complete failure. But we were able to succeed on the initial trials, which were just a couple of weeks, and that was brilliant. And from that, then we went back and made some modifications, and then went back again and threw it in the water for, I think it was like 8 or 10 months that the unit swam 24/7 in the water. Then at that time, we also, took the entire team to the island, and we 3D and SLS print our robot. So we brought the team there in a bunch of 3D printers, and we 3D printed, I think, 8 robots in a matter of 6 weeks, and built them from scratch and then deployed them. So for us, we're always kind of pushing the envelope anyway. So it's not enough to put the most affordable, robot in the water 24/7. No, we had to do it and build it and deploy it. But this was, again, for the company, a part of a bigger picture. We wanted to really see if we could be anywhere and deploy anywhere. Not just in aquaculture. If you're looking at what's happening around the world with the superstorms and the flooding scenarios, our systems are very applicable for disaster, either during the event or post-disaster flooding. So if we're able to put together units from local resources, if you will, through also 3D printing and stuff, that means that we can pretty much go anywhere. And be on the ground, deploy, and help wherever the need is. So, for us, the company wasn't about one vertical. It wasn't about being in aquaculture, although, yes, it's great that it's growing and there's the need to feed people. But for us, it was really about building a system that had a multi-use case system that could help everyone. As I said before, whether you're protecting corals, whether you're trying to save life or get the toxicity levels in a post-flooding scenario, or whether even in ports. So, for us, it was really just about being what we like to call the John Deere tractor, or the John Deere tool of the waterways for those working in the waterways.
Wow, that's an amazing reference there. So where is innovation taking in the ocean science, sorry?
I'm sorry?
I think where is innovation taking Oceanside, like ocean science side?
Well, again, we're product people, so we're not scientists, which, we we have a couple of scientists that work with us that are often saying that won't work, and then when we do it anyway, they're like, "Wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. It's not supposed to work." So we all come from, certainly the mind behind the machine, the original inventor of our technology, Simeon Pietrkowski, who's my partner. He's a complete product person, and he's one of those people who, I would call the garage tinkerer, who's always inventing different devices. So where it's taking, I think there is, in the science community, are wonderful for what they do, but there's a big gap also between understanding science and building a product that is scalable. And because of our team, in specific also, Simeon, who has 30 years of manufacturing, our units are built from the get-go with manufacturing and scalability in mind. It wasn't like a university project that we wanted to prove we could do this, which then you end up finding out, oh, it's too expensive to even manufacture. So for us, it was really about building a system, again, that could have the largest impact and protect the waterways, fresh or salt, actually for the end goal of helping humanity and our next generation. And in fact, the commitment comes out of a promise that Simeon made to his daughter to take all his ingenuity in 30 years in robotics and animatronics and ClimateTech, and to build something that would help her generation. She's 20 now, and we've been doing this at least 8 years, and probably he was working on it a few years before I met him. So it was really about, I think when you talk about where's ocean science going, it's about building the bridges between the product people, the science, or getting, some of these technologies out in the market and scaling them. And scaling them in other industries, commercial industries, science, industries, or even citizen science, if you will, because it really does take a village, and we all are reliant on that 71% that covers the planet, which is called water.
Right. So, are there any other sound bites you'd like to share with the audience?
Sound bites. Let me see. I think that as the world moves forward and we figure out other ways to grow as humanity, there will be more autonomy. That autonomous systems, and let's say talk about robotics, don't always have to be used for military purposes, and nor should the funding be just given to those purposes. I really commend Asia, because what's going on there in the world of robotics is just fascinating, and it's really not about robotics is not just about military use or for oil and gas and stuff. It's really putting systems that are helping across a lot of different verticals. So that's interesting. I don't really have any sound bites per se, other than that I think we do need to just tone down a lot of the noise, especially now, about the environment, and actually roll up, talk less and do more, roll up the sleeves, have fewer conferences and fewer gatherings and fewer flying around the world and meeting every year, like, even what's going on. And I mean, maybe there is some good that comes out of it, but I really think that it's more about focusing on developing the systems, funding those systems to scale, and actually doing the work and being more action oriented and less research, less I guess marketing oriented.
Right. That's great. So thank you so much for sharing your valuable insights with us. For more content, subscribe to Engati and tap on the bell icon to access to exclusive content from thoughtful leaders from around the world. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you with the new experts soon.
Thank you for having me.